Since this is no beginner course, I will only provide brief refreshers on all these topics, and I want to begin with migrations. So how can we create models and migrations with Laravel? Remember, models are the things or the classes we work with in our application, and migrations allow us to create and configure our database tables. If we want to create a model and a migration, we can use the make model command, add the name of this model and the M flag at the end to indicate that we not only want to create this model file in the app folder, but also a migration file which allows us to configure the database table belonging to that model. Because remember, Eloquent allows us to map a model to a database table. There are also times where we don't want a model and a migration, but only a migration. For example, if we have many-to-many relationships, we will need a pivot table which holds the connections between two tables, and therefore we don't need a separate model. We can create a single migration with the make migration command and then pass the name of this, migration PHP file basically Laravel will create for us. Those migration files will be stored in the database folder in your project. So it's fine that those migrations are created or these files are created and stored in the database table, but how exactly is the database configured with them? If you open a file in this database folder, you will see two functions, up and drop. Now drop is just to delete this table, so I will focus on up here, which creates a table. A table configuration or schema is created with the schema facade, which has this create method, which as a first argument takes the name of the table which should be created, and as a second argument it takes a closure, which holds the detailed configuration of the table. Now again, I won't dive deep into migrations and Laravel's Eloquent and so on, since you could create an entire course just about that topic. Therefore, I will only provide a brief refresher. That being said, attached to this module, you will find a document with links leading to detailed explanations about the different configuration options you got available. For example, you can configure your table to have a field ID, which will auto-increment and acts as the primary key with the increments method. You could set up default timestamps, and this method will create two fields, the created at and updated at field, which will be automatically filled upon creating an entry or changing it. You might also add, basically in SQL, a varchar, so a string with a limited amount of characters. Here a field of titles would be created. Or if you need more text than just a limited number of characters, you could use the text function and create a field content, for example. So this is how you use migrations to configure tables, and with this up command, if you run this migration file or if you run migrations through the Artisan command line tool, you would create a table named posts with the fields specified in this closure and the configuration provided with the methods used here. So it's great to have that file. How does it finally get into the database or converted into a database table? Migrations can be managed with multiple commands. Probably the most important one is the migrate command, which basically takes all your migration files which haven't been migrated yet and will create the tables defined there in the database. You also could use the migrate rollback command to roll back the latest migrations, or reset to roll back all migrations. If you want to roll back all migrations and then remigrate, because you might have changed some configuration in a file or in a table, you might use the refresh command, migrate refresh, to do that.